101.7 Abuja. National Nursing Week runs from May 8th to May 18th, 2023. And the theme this year is Our Nurses, Our Future. This theme showcases the many roles that nurses play in a patient's healthcare journey. Thank you once again for joining us. It's actually 6 to 12, not 8. Okay, sorry, Google. I'm editing myself as I speak. Sincerely apologize for starting the show quite late today. It was due to some unforeseen circumstances. So I'm just going to dive in feet first. I'm Rayo Omotoso, and I'm joined on the show today by two phenomenal nurses. I had written this elaborate speech to go on today's show because I was expecting two phenomenal. If I ever wrote two phenomenal nurses, because I was expecting two women. So, but as fate will have it, I'm joined by a female nurse and a male nurse. I'm joined by Einaya Sandra. She's a registered nurse, and this is the part. Break it down for me, please. Help a lady. Anesthetist. Anesthetist. I failed it. I have failed in this one because even in my script, the thing is red with all sort of vowels. And we're joined by Nurse Jonathan. Nurse Jonathan, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, good afternoon. I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. So our time is fast spent already. I'm just going to dive in feet first. So you just corrected me that International Nurses Week, you call it?
Yes.
So it's May 6th to 12th.
Yes.
How long has this been going on for? In fact, last week I was looking for midwives. So when you called, I said yes. Now you're saying no, you're not a midwife, right? Yes. So we'll come to the differentiation in a bit. But how long have you had a National Nurses Week? Is it just a Nigerian thing or it's global?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
We're glad to be here. Sandra, like she introduced me, and we're coming from Diff Medical Center. International Nurses Week is an international thing. It's not just a national
Nigerian thing, okay?
So, and then we have our International Council of Nurses, and then for this year, the broader team, Our Nurses, Our Future. There are some other countries or some other states, who have their own team.
Yeah.
But we're working with the one ICN gave us. So Our Nurses, Our Future is what, and it's been for long, for years. The celebration has been going on.
Okay, so I want to talk about the critical roles that nurses play in the healthcare system.
Yeah.
But I see a nurse, and the first thing I think of is the lady in white uniform. That once I get into the hospital, it is a nurse that you first meet before you get to see the doctor to diagnose. But it is the nurses that at the first, they call it first port of call, or
yes,
exactly. Right. And so, explain how nurses are often the first point of contact for patients seeking medical care, and how do they work alongside doctors and other healthcare professionals? Why is it them at the door? Why can't we just get a receptionist? It's okay, you're not feeling well, come in and sit down. Why is it the nurses? And because I'm asking that because a lot of people, when they see nurse, they just look down on nurses. I don't want to say it like that.
Yeah, but that's the truth.
It's the truth. So lots of nurses are looked down on, and they're the first person, they're the first people you see. And yet in Nigeria, we don't give them that pride of place, right?
Yeah.
Yes, please go on.
All right. If you look at the story or the history of nursing, how it started with Florence Nightingale.
Yes.
You hear us always calling Florence Nightingale.
Yes.
Yeah. Back in the days during the wars, Florence was there with some ladies.
Yeah.
A woman stands for nurturing.
Yeah.
So they were there nurturing these soldiers who were injured, and that was it. That was how the whole thing started.
Yeah.
Do you get? So
yeah.
I think that's just the genesis, and that's why you're not okay. First of all, when as a child, when you're not okay, it's the mother that comes in first, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are the nurturers, we are the caregivers. I think healthcare
generally
revolves around nurses. So it's going to be just right that you come into a hospital, you see a smiling nurse, and that smile is giving you hope that you're here and we're going to take care of you.
All right. So thank you so much, nurse. So how do I address you now?
Nurse Sandra.
Nurse, just like that,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So why I'm asking, because there's when we spoke yesterday, I said, what's the difference between a nurse and a midwife? And then why is there registered nurse and why is there auxiliary nurse? And then why are you also an anesthetist?
Okay, you're right.
Can you break it down for me, the roles? Nurse Jonathan, do we still have you online?
Yes,
All
I'm
right.
listening.
So
Thank
we'll
you.
come to you in a
Yes.
bit. I'll come to you in a bit.
Okay, nursing is
All
a
right, that's
profession.
fine.
It's a body of its own. Just
Yes.
like you have accountancy, you have banking, nursing stands on its own.
Yeah.
So now when you now come to nursing, there are branches, there are specialties. You can't be a nurse and be everywhere.
True.
You have to be particular. Just like in the medical field where you have doctors who are gynecologists, who are these, who are that. In
Okay.
nursing, that applies too.
Okay.
So there are nurses who are specialized in child care, women in pregnancy, you call them midwives. That's where we come into midwives.
my-
Yes. And then you have nurses who are in peri-operative. That is when you come into the theater, they know all the instruments, they know the particular instrument to get ready for a particular procedure.
Okay.
And we have nurses who are specialized in oncology. Of somebody in the theater who knows everything.
Please
in the
come
theater.
back. Oncology. That has to be cancer.
Yes, there
Okay.
are nurses who are specialized in
In
that.
that.
So, nursing is wild. You get is so wide that you can decide to whatever fits you, whatever you want to. You want to enjoy the profession. You don't want to keep doing something you don't like doing. So that way
Absolutely.
you now position yourself. Okay, I want to do this. Then you do this. So
right.
that's why I'm a registered nurse anesthetist, because I love anesthesia, and that's why I'm there.
All right. So thank you so much, Nurse
welcome,
Sandra.
you're
So if you've just tuned in, we're listening to Perspectives here on Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja, and we join nurses all over the world to celebrate National Nursing Week, which runs from May 8th to May 14th. I hope at the end of the show today, you'll give our Nigerian nurses a May 6th to 12th. I hope after today's show that you give them a lot more respect, because she's just broken down to me that, did you know before today that nurses actually had different specialties as well? Or when you see every woman in white in a hospital, we just generalize and say, oh, these are just nurses. So we have another nurse online. His name is Nurse Jonathan. So thank you for staying online. I want to ask you, it's very rare. It's only in movies we see male nurses. Nurse Jonathan, it's only on Grey's Anatomy I see a male nurse. I have never met a male Nigerian nurse. Have you had people ask you questions? Yeah, honestly, I'm very curious now. Did you choose this, or medical school chose this for you?
Okay, good afternoon, listeners. I'm Jonathan from Deep Medical Center. I'm a nurse anesthetist, like she has finally mentioned.
Yes.
She asked me this question. Actually, in this part of the world, nursing profession has evolved, and a lot of people asking questions. Well, predominantly in the history of nursing, the modern nursing has been dominated by female.
Yes.
If we look at the history prior to the history of Nightingale, male nurses have played a profound role in the healthcare sector, male nurses particularly. With regards to whether I chose nursing or nursing chose me or something like that. But I had passion for caring for solving people's problems initially. First of all, in fact, I applied for nursing profession right from the onset. I read a book about nursing, and I read about a male nurse. And I said, wow, I want to be part of this team. I want to be part of those who contribute towards the well-being of humanity, towards improving and alleviating human suffering. It was not, so that was the drive. That was actually the drive, not necessarily because of anything, but I had a drive. I had passion for caring for people. I never applied for medicine in my entire life. I've never applied for any. I applied for nursing profession from the onset. So this is what I want to do.
All right.
I'm so happy doing it. Yes, thank you.
I like that Nigeria is progressing, and I like that the world is progressing. That I saw a quote somewhere, funny enough, just yesterday, I don't remember the entire phrase now, but that wisdom is not gender-based. So whatever thing you choose to study, as long as you are comfortable with it, as long as you're excited about it, by all means, go ahead. So earlier on, I was speaking with Nurse Sandra about the theme for this year, but she mentioned that you have a theme, and that both of you are you're not just both of you, your team this year is working on drug abuse in Nigeria. Am I correct?
Yes, we are all people working on drug abuse.
Okay, do you want to elaborate on that?
Okay, drug abuse, particularly narcotic abuse, has become a health concern.
In Nigeria here or globally?
Yes, globally. Globally has become a health concern. Because of the people are becoming more depressed. more suicidal. It could be due to the economic turmoil that is ravaging the world completely, and equally with the relentless strive for the desire for pleasure and happiness has made people to drift towards depression if actually their dreams are not met.
Yes.
And some of them decide to find an alternative of muting or attenuating the effect or the reality on ground with some of these drugs, narcotic drugs. So addiction, it's just a continuous, compulsive or impulsive usage of any medication or any drug or a behavior that could be detrimental or pernicious to the individual or to the people around them. So that's largely what addiction is all about. And it's usually dangerous. It's not regulated. What I mean is the person becomes dependent on the medication. It just becomes harmful to the individual's health or to the people around him.
All right.
So this year's thing is also focusing on narcotic abuse and ways in which hypnosis can key into this health challenge and alleviating the public suffering among people.
All right.
So that's why nursing chose this particular topic as part of it this year's thing.
All right. Thank you so much, Nurse Jonathan. I'll come to that in a bit, but I want to take a quick commercial break, and when we return, we'll continue with the theme for this year's Nursing Week. So just stay with us. We'll be right back.
This call to prayer is sponsored by the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
We teach girls shame. Close your legs, cover yourself. We make them feel as though by being born female, they're already guilty of something.
So I think right now we have the chance to be heard, and that's why we're doing it. We're all doing it because we're asking to try and elicit change.
No woman should sit down and allow a man to speak about her reproductive rights.
But it is about opening spaces for other women and not to be seen as token, and that because I'm a woman, I'm only speaking about women at the table. No, I'm speaking about side of the table that is empty and the women have to be there. So
I want us to leave this world better than we found it. And how I choose to affect change is by speaking up, by being the first, and by being the dominant.
Over 4 billion of the world's population are girls and women, also faced with challenges that affect our world and contributing solutions to them. Let's have conversations and get some answers to them through their eyes and voices. Tune in to Perspectives, where we discuss important issues ranging from climate change, politics, health, the economy, and lifestyle on Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. Weekdays from midday. Perspectives. Conversations that matter.
We are called to serve humanity, endowed with the art and science of caring. We are built on integrity and discipline that transcends through every generation. Immaculate and amicable, we are the source of hope to ailing ones and the foundation for building a healthy world. Together we shall stand, no seas of grace, no seas of caring, an epitome of humility and service. We especially ordained for this vocation. Yes, I'm proud to be an
And so that is the part where I play the nurses anthem, and I'm so glad that I'm hearing it for the first time, and it's a beautiful one. Thank you so much for sharing that, Nurse Sandra.
You're welcome.
Did I do good, Nurse Jonathan? You sing this song with them.
At the end of the I only heard you at the end of the music.
Oh, apologies on that. I really apologize. You know, if I had known that, you know, when you'd have been sitting in the comfort of your office and listen and, you know, taking this call. So I really apologize for the miscommunication.
No problem. It's
yes. Okay, so we'll just delve right back in. If you've just tuned in, you're listening to Perspectives here on Citizen FM 93.7, and we're talking about National Nursing Week. I have two amazing humans in the studio with me. I have registered nurse Aina Sandra and nurse Jonathan as well, and they're both anesthetists. Okay, I've been practicing that, you know. So if you have any questions whatsoever, this is the time. If there's one question you've wanted to ask about the nursing, in the nursing world, every time we focus on medical doctors, right? We focus on specialists, pediatricians, we focus on gynecologists, we focus on dentists, but very few, except, you know, you get to the hospital and you see a nurse immediately, we don't take the profession seriously. And so I like that the theme for your nursing week, you have decided to look at narcotics and the prevalence here in Abuja. I understand, right, Nurse Jonathan? Nurses are on the forefront. So it means both of you are you're the first responders. When people come to the hospital down with, you are the one that sees it all, right? So
exactly.
And so definitely your impact on our community cannot be overemphasized. Can you share some stories of or some solutions to that your what they call it now, your team is doing to nip this narcotics problem in the bud, especially here in Abuja? What are you doing about it? Hello, can you hear me? Oh dear, network. Can you stand in for him?
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, we can hear you now. Please welcome back.
Yes. Okay.
Did you hear me at all?
Nurses.
Yes.
Yes. I heard you. Yeah. So nurses are contributing significantly with solving this problem of narcotic addiction in Abuja.
Yes.
Through ways such as community
sensitization. This one is network. It's not me.
Those effects and the dangers of narcotic abuse.
Yes.
Are you with me?
I'm with you.
So yes, exactly. For example, like Deep Medical Center, we
Go on. It's fluctuating, but please go on.
Yes, educating people, health talks on the implications of using drugs that are not medically prescribed by health. Nurses this year are their quota to ensuring that people get aware of the implications of what they do.
Yeah.
And that's our own fundamental way of contributing towards.
Okay, so I hear you on that, Nurse Jonathan, because one of the things you mentioned when we started off the show was about how the, it's like a cycle. The bad state of the economy is having adverse effects on people, both adults, and so we're talking about narcotics. I didn't ask, is it just in youth or in the society generally, and how often, where is the prevalence? Is it more among young people, or it's just generally it's a bad problem in the society?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. The risks of this health challenge, particularly because of the adolescent crisis that is we call it the crisis of identity that's common with the young people.
Yes.
And the curiosity that emanates from their
trying out new things.
The precedents, exactly. So it is predominantly. This is not just to say that our concern is not only on the adolescents or the young adults,
yes,
but we're concerned about the public entirely. Yes, and there are a lot of factors, particularly that predisposes people, like young people find it very difficult to delay gratification. Are you there?
Yes, they want it right now. Yes, I heard you, Nurse Joe.
Yes. They find it very difficult to delay gratification. So at slightest thing, the pursuit for the feeling of being good, feeling of good, or having the feeling of euphoria, or what we call excitement.
High.
Ecstasy, yes.
Use the street slang.
Yes.
Go on, please.
That's why it's so bad. However, this global health problem is predominant among young people. So that's where we put so much of our concentration on this year.
All right. Okay, so thank you so much for that, Nurse Joe. Nurse Sandra.
Yes.
I want to take you to two things actually.
Okay.
So we mentioned it earlier on, the perception, about nurses in Nigeria. And I want to focus on the challenges, nurses face here in Nigeria, apart from stigmatization and, belittling them, as in comparing them. In fact, they don't come close in comparison to what they call it, doctors in Nigeria. We don't, how do I put it? We only take nurses seriously when we are sick and vulnerable. But once we get better, we forget, that's it. It's in our hindsight. So it's maybe later, there was this nurse. Oh, she gave me, we don't take the nursing profession very seriously in Nigeria. So, but I want to ask you, so you've been living and working as a nurse in Nigeria for a while now. What are some of the, challenges that you face?
Okay, I've been working as a nurse for 9 years.
That's quite a while.
That's a long time.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have just like you're saying now, we've come to realize that it's ignorance on the part of the client or patient to act that way.
Yeah.
So we overlook and just do the,
do what you can.
Yes, we can to help them. So that has helped a lot of nurses. You get, and there are a lot of principles of management we work with that is just there behind us that we're using to care for you.
Yes.
So that's it, because it's a professional job. So you're guided by ethics and all that. So it doesn't really get to us.
Yeah.
We still move ahead. We still enjoy the job.
Yeah.
But we know this is what the baggages that come with it. Yeah, but it doesn't stop us any longer. Yeah.
So another thing, which is why I want to ask both of you, I'm going to ask Nurse Joe the same thing as well. When I was preparing for this episode, I like TV dramas, and there's a particular one I watch, Grey's, and funny enough, it's the only medical show I watch. There's some I can't stand, maybe because I might get emotional. So I don't know how you people do the job, and day in, day out you see different scenarios. So but in Nigeria, nurses are not as highly paid as they are in the US.
Yeah.
I mean, a nurse in the US is cashing out. I'm not joking. So I want you to talk about the importance of education and training, for nurses in Nigeria, both for their personal and professional growth. I want you to talk about that, because it's not very popular. It's rare to hear someone say, I want to go and study nursing. It's usually an afterthought to say, oh, let me just quickly do this nursing. I've never really heard someone professionally say they want to go down that track.
Okay, all right. Since after the COVID-19, and you see Saudi Arabians coming down to recruit health professionals
from
in
Nigeria. Exactly.
See, the schools of nursing are all filled now.
Wow.
People are embracing.
So it took a pandemic.
Exactly.
Was it a pandemic or epidemic? Now after it's a pandemic.
Yeah, to get people aware that did you know, I can remember back then when I wanted to go into nursing. Yes, then in secondary school I could still remember my best friend then. She was like, hey, you want to go and be serving Dr. Sandra of all the things you want to do. But it's not like that. When we got into the profession, we got to understand that this is a total package.
Yes.
And you have to just be up, up your games to be able to be in the field and to be able to, successfully grow.
Yes.
And then, like I told you, nursing has evolved so much that, you see a lot of us going to IT in nursing.
Okay. IT, that's information technology.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about the future of nursing in a bit. Actually, I'll come to technology, but I really want to talk about, training, growth, getting better. So which is
Yes, we are. Before now in Nigeria, we usually would have schools of nursing.
Yes.
Which is usually the
highest level self.
Not really the highest level, but the missions, when healthcare training and all came to Nigeria, it was the missionaries.
Yes.
So if you look at it, it's just the missions that were forefront in training nurses. But now we have the higher institutions going there.
Yeah.
So a lot of us, or the majority of nurses out there are all trained through the schools of nursing.
Yes.
So, but now we are realizing that there's a need to go and further your education. There's a need to go up. There's a need. We have nurses who are PhD holders, who are master's degree holders. So the profession is growing. People are seeing the need to, for you to give a proper health. And our clients are becoming very, very exposed. In fact, you see,
you keep saying clients, not patients, though. Can you tell me why?
The first time you come, you're a client until we admit you. So, many times before you get to the point of admission, you must.
Go on.
So our clients are becoming very, very exposed. By the time in fact, we had the program yesterday, a workshop where we had a lot of nurses in Abuja come to Deep Medical Center for the training.
Yes.
And then one of our trainings were on communication, effective communication, clients, nurse communication. And then you find out that by the time you tell your patient, I want to give you this particular antibiotics, the woman already press Google. What is this?
So is that a problem?
Yeah, of course.
How is that a conflict of interest? I think the patient wants the best of the best.
I understand. But now, by the time Google will tell you this, it will give you all the side effects. And then we know that, in fact, when we're defining an ideal drug, we'll say, there must be a side effect.
Yes.
For a drug to be ideal.
But we don't like to hear that part. So how do you now tell people and to assure them that over how they go on, please. Don't worry, I'll ask
the point is that because now they are very aware.
Yes.
So you have to be sure of the medication you're
giving. Yes.
Yes, madam, this is it. You say, oh yeah, that's very nice. You now begin to communicate well.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very impressed that you're conscious of your health. Yes, and but you now have to tell her, irrespective of this side. In fact, madam, see, by the time I tell you that the definition of an ideal drug is that it must have a side effect. Yourself, you will calm down. Yes. Okay. And then I now begin to tell you that though it has side effects, but the benefits outweighs the side effects. And let me give you this instance in anesthesia. When we want to give a spinal anesthesia or we want to do an epidural, we know that the immediate side effect of these drugs or this procedure is giving you a hypotension. But the doctor or the nurse who is taking the anesthesia already knows that this is the side effect. So she will prepare.
Yes.
She will get your BP okay, so that when I give the drug, it won't crash your blood pressure. So we're all trained to know that, this is what will happen. And then we're there. That's why we're trained professionals. And we'll now, let you know that administering this drug, irrespective of whatever you've read in Google, that is going to still be beneficial to you. So nurses, we just have to, if you're a dummy up there, you won't be able to, fit in, especially here in Abuja.
Because I was going to ask you that you're talking about drugs and side effects. It's very rare except maybe it's expensive antibiotics. If you go to a regular tertiary institution, they don't even tell you about this. They say, that's what the doctor said.
No.
Nurses don't want. I'm talking about tertiary institutions.
Yes.
You are coming from the private sector. The private sector, there's a standard that is allowed, and that the customer is king in the private sector, right? But in tertiary institutions, the nurse's attitude is off-putting.
It's changing.
How is it changing? Honestly, I thought it's the same training. You go to the same schools. So is that so? It's almost as if they get special training in rudeness, in politeness, and total overall scaring the patients.
No,
they don't talk to you. Their bedside manner is very poor.
Okay, let's say this.
Yes,
okay?
please go
in
on.
the private sector. Somebody is employing us.
Yes.
All right. And has understood that for me to get what I want from these nurses is to pay them well, pay them in good time, make sure they have good benefits.
Yes.
What happens to your clients or your customers? Because this is a business setting, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
Somebody has set up a business, which is a hospital. Yes. So you want to make gains,
value for money.
Exactly. So if you're expecting that one of the government top officials will come, you don't expect a nurse who doesn't, who will not be up to international standard. Do you understand?
Yes.
So and the only way you can get that out of me is to make me happy. Yeah. You pay me as I went you. You have some packages for me. If I'm coming to work, I'll be smiling. By the time you speak one English for me, I'll just okay, ma, I'll be smiling. You're very stupid, Sandra. Yes, ma, no problem. I understand this the way you're feeling. I totally understand. I know that when you get better, you understand what I'm saying. But now that's not the same with our colleagues in the tertiary institutions.
Yes, but what's been done about it? What's your association? What are they doing? Because I thought it's one size fits all. That's funny enough. Which is why a lot of doctors have private practices, really, because they're not getting the same, treatment.
Yeah.
So, but what's the end game? What's the long-term goal?
That's when it comes to taking care of health workers. I don't know. We can't keep praying in Nigeria. We just need something right to be done.
Action.
Exactly. We can only talk. We can only do things. We can, and the only way people are letting this known is by leaving the country. That's where you see the Jabba syndrome. Everywhere people are going out. But when things become better, which is not in our position to, is the government that will do that. You get so if once the government does the right thing, I don't think people will want to leave.
True.
I know we have friends; they're all there. You get, but they also tell us their
own experiences. So it's not all rosy on the other side as well.
Exactly. People want to stay back in Nigeria, but if the government can just do the right thing, everybody will be fine.
All right. So hold that thought, Nurse Joe. So I hear since you.
I'm with you.
Yes, please. So please, I want to invite you. So
okay.
I want you to contribute on the conversation as well. So please go on.
Okay, the nursing profession has transcended from the clinical setting to the academics, and in recent times. From initially, ab initio, in Nigeria, when nursing first came, it was an in-hospital training. But as time goes on, it moved into the academic, and most universities have approved the training of nursing to Bachelor of Sciences in Nursing, and which is a remarkable achievement in the nursing profession. And of recent, the Nursing and Midwifery Council upgraded post-basic schools, or what we used to call post-basic, now to postgraduate.
Go on. The network is fluctuating.
Yes. Okay.
Go on.
Yes. So, Nursing and Midwifery Council, like I said, of recent, they upgraded all post-basic institutions to postgraduate degree programs. That is to say that you are not permitted if you come from or you are not permitted to undergo these specialty courses. So it's a remarkable improvement in the nursing profession. I say we are growing steadily in Nigeria. And I heard you talking about the dichotomy in the behavioral pattern of nurses in the private sector.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. There are numerous factors that could be responsible for this. Like she said, in the private sector, there is accountability, immediate accountability.
Yes.
But in the government arena, government sector, there's less. The expectations there is less. Even in terms, not only in the nursing profession, people are not held accountable for any behavior or for whatever behavior they display. But by the time we begin to improve in this country,
but the thing is when. That's what she's saying exactly. That when we want action now.
Yes, this has to policy makers has to come. They have to come in, okay? Not just in the nursing profession. Generally in the health sector, from the public to the private sector, there is a big trench of gap, and it is something that the policy makers we need to delve into decision makings and implement this. By the time we give instructions or policies are established, people should be held responsible for every behavior.
Yes.
Like from the private sector, she explained, a patient can tell you, okay, I'm not comfortable with this. It is her right, okay? But in the private sector, you can patient will tell you many options, and the government cannot just terminate your contract just in a day. You say what you want to say to the patients, okay?
Yeah.
So it's actually a very difficult thing, but progressively we are improving in the general note. The nursing profession, yes, we're improving steadily on the general note.
Yes. Well,
now we are having
given this information that Nurse Sandra shared earlier, I didn't even think of it in terms of, one of the effects of the post-pandemic on the nursing profession in Nigeria. I didn't even realize, the boom was that big. But hold that thought. You have a message from someone listening from outside. It said, so I'm just going to quickly run because at 1 p.m. we're going to take the news on the hour. So just stay with me. I'm going to quickly take this message, and then, after the break, you can, answer it. So he says, any hospital where there is no nurse, that hospital is not complete. Anybody who looks down on a nurse is doing himself or herself a disservice. Nurses are as important as medical doctors. After seeing a doctor, the nurses are expected to care for the patients, especially if they are admitted at the ward. So nurses do a lot in the hospitals. However, there are some nurses who are too harsh to their patients. They talk carelessly, especially if a relative of one who is sick at the time need them to check on him or her. I've come across wonderful nurses who are kind and compassionate. Kudos to all nurses in Nigeria, including the harsh ones. I appreciate you all. Thank you for the services. I equally hope that nurses' salaries get improved. I equally hope to see people go into the nursing profession. So, if you don't take anything away from today's show, it's the fact that, like Nurse Joe and Nurse Sandra have said, that the nursing profession has seen a boom. So after the break, I want to come to the future of nursing in Nigeria, and I want to talk about how technology, what they call it now, is enhancing that. But it has to be after this break. So just stay with us. I'm going to go out with the anthem again, in case you didn't hear the nurses' anthem earlier on when we started. So this is us having another go at it. We're celebrating nurses, right? So this is their anthem. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. 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 Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Time for news on the hour.
Good afternoon and thanks for staying with us here on Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. You're listening to the news on the hour. I'm Rayo Omotoso. The federal government says it has delivered 8,938 housing units across 35 states and the Federal Capital Territory and constructed 9,290 kilometers of road nationwide. Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, said this Monday in Abuja while presenting the scorecard of his stewardship in the 8-year administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Fashola said the 8 years of Buhari-led administration is targeted at improving living conditions of Nigerians and drastic reduction of multidimensional poverty. He said upon his appointment as minister, part of his target was to improve human lives by venturing into the construction of long-neglected capital projects inherited from previous administrations. Ottawa has said it will expel a Chinese diplomat accused of having sought to intimidate a Canadian lawmaker, critical of Beijing plunging the two nations into a new diplomatic row. Foreign Minister Melanie Joly declared the diplomat a persona non grata and said Canada will not tolerate any form of foreign interference in internal affairs. China, on the other hand, says Canada has sabotaged relations between the two nations by expelling a Chinese diplomat, Ottawa, who'd been accused of seeking to intimidate a lawmaker critical of Beijing. The National Assembly has begun the induction ceremony for senators and members-elect of the 10th Assembly. The induction ceremony is intended to educate lawmakers elect on legislative business. According to the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, this is extremely important as more than 70% of federal lawmakers coming into the 10th Assembly are first-time lawmakers. On the leadership tussle in both houses, some of the lawmakers-elect who spoke are divided on how the National Assembly leadership should emerge, while some lawmakers say the political parties should not interfere in the leadership choices. Others say the parties should give direction in the form of zoning the legislative positions. And that's the Citizen FM News on the hour. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.
We teach girls shame. Close your legs, cover yourself. We make them feel as though by being born female, they're already guilty of something.
So I think right now we have the chance to be heard, and that's why we're doing it. We're all doing it because we're asking to try and elicit change.
No woman should sit down and allow a man to speak about her reproductive rights.
But it is about opening spaces for other women and not to be seen as token, and that because I'm a woman, I'm only speaking about women at the table. No, I'm speaking about side of the table that is empty and that women have to be there. So
I want us to leave this world better than we found it. And how I choose to affect change is by speaking up, by being the first and by being the dominant.
Over 4 billion of the world's population are girls and women, also faced with challenges that affect our world and contributing solutions to them. Let's have conversations and get some answers to them through their eyes and voices. Tune in to Perspectives, where we discuss important issues ranging from climate change, politics, health, the economy, and lifestyle on Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. Weekdays from midday. Perspectives. Conversations that matter.
Woman don't suffer.